Alrighty, I'm gonna say something that's probably gonna piss so many people off. I feel like either like everyone in the world is in on the joke but me, or like I'm going crazy. I don't know which one it is. So I feel like I just have to say this, and I know it's not my business, and it's just a dick thing to say, and I'm gonna start a whole controversy, and I shouldn't even get involved. And it's like, great, Kyle, yeah, you're the only one that figured it out. Cool, yeah, you're a genius. And I hate to even say anything. I really do. But I'm never the first one to do anything, you know. But I'm gonna be the first person to call this out because apparently nobody else has. And I feel like Russia's going to kill me or somebody's going to kill me. But at the same time, it's like, hey, people don't have to believe me. It's not like what I say even fucking matters. And that's the only reason I feel comfortable saying this. But yeah, so this is a child. Not a dwarf. Apparently, that is a 19-year-old boy or man named Hasbulla. And I fucking smell bullshit. and I hate to say it. I do. I hate to be that guy. And I want to start off by saying, I don't care if it's a child or a teenager. I don't give a fuck. I don't want it to be a 5-year-old boy. That's weird, okay? I don't give a fuck. I just am so concerned that everybody is so convinced that it's like an 18-year-old man. Do you hold a man like that? I mean, I don't know. Just put this man on my shoulders real quick and tell him to put his hands up by grabbing his arm.
Carries some weight within the world of MMA. So much so that the UFC president...
And I'm like, am I the only one that like... And I have so much, like, to back this up. It's not just me being a weirdo. Because the first time that I saw him, I was like, that doesn't look like any other dwarf I've seen before, you know what I mean? And I've watched my fair share of midget porn. I was like, you know, I'm like a fucking dwarf connoisseur in a way. So that's the only reason I ever started looking into this stuff. And then I started unraveling this whole conspiracy. So it all started when I first saw him, and I was like, that's not a dwarf. I was like, that's an actual child. And they're like, no, he just looks like a child because he has dwarfism. And then I remember thinking about hearing stories like this before. I'd heard a bunch of stories like this. And I was like, no, but that looks like an actual child. And then at first I thought it was a joke. I thought they knew it was a child. But then the more that I looked into it, it's like, no, Joe Rogan is like even like thinks that, oh, it's... And then like everywhere, like at these gyms training, people think that he's 19. And like on TV everywhere. And like literally everybody. So everybody's fooled. Like literally everybody's fooled. And I was like, that's kind of weird. Like why would they like try so hard to convince people? It's because he's a TikTok star. It's because he's rich off of his fame. It's obvious that he's just the son of like a Russian UFC fighter. Is that not obvious to anybody? One of the fighters that he's always with, that he's always training with, that he's always posing with, like Khabib or somebody, he's literally one of their sons. He's like one of their 5-year-old kids. Is that not obvious to anybody? I'm the only one. And if I'm the only one, sure, I'll shut up. And it's like, I don't have any evidence one way or the other. And yeah, so nothing that I say really matters. And you know what? He could be 19. Cool. Yeah, sure. It's possible. But there's just so much that rubbed me the wrong way. And then I started looking into it. And it just got worse the more I looked into it. I got more convinced. I went searching for my confirmation bias. And I was just buried in confirmation biases. I was like, oh. But no, it's crazy. Like, everything about it screams that's like a 5-year-old child. Like, is everybody in on the joke? Is only Hollywood in on the joke? Is only Russia in on the joke? Like, are only MMA fighters in on the joke? Like, I don't know. Somebody's backing the joke hard enough to where the rest of the world believes them. Like, Joe Rogan's convinced. He's like, I want to meet him. Maybe that's why he doesn't do all these interviews, is because then people would realize, oh, it's a child. Because it's so obvious when you're talking to him. The only TikTok videos of him are like what is he ever doing? Like, oh, he's just counting money? Okay, that's obviously not his. And if it is, then okay, where did he get it? It's like, oh, because he's a TikTok star. And it's like, oh, it's like, I'm pretty sure that's his dad's money, or whoever this UFC fighter is. And they literally took a video, like, hey, look at this baby counting money. And then that got viral. Except for no. You want to know where it did get viral? Off of this one video with him and another child. And they say, oh, this is another man with dwarfism. See, this is what made me spiral on the whole thing, because this is the first video that I saw. And I bet you the UFC fighter that's in the video with them, he's probably related to him, or the kids are related to him somehow. And they one day were just like, hey, let's film a TikTok video of 2 kids fighting. Wouldn't that be funny? Because they probably train their kids. And their kids probably train MMA with them. They probably want their kids to grow up and be killers. So they're fucking training their kids MMA as soon as they can fucking start. Okay? And that's why Hasbulla is really popular. Because he's a 5-year-old that can already wrestle and kick some ass. That's why he's popular. Oh, you see this 5-year-old wrestling and kicking ass. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's impressive. You should say that. You should say, hey, this kid's going to be a killer when he gets to be 18. Look at him. Like, he's already fucking training with Khabib and he's 5 years old. That's what they should really say. I don't know why they're spiraling this lie that he's 18. But yeah, I don't know. And I don't care what age he is. I'm just concerned. And it's like, I'm not convinced. And it's not like I want him to be a child. You know, why am I convinced the other way? I don't know. Why am I the only one? It's like a problem for me, okay? I'm a victim in this. Because I don't want to just like look at him and be like, okay, I don't believe them. Like, I didn't consciously just be like, oh, I don't believe them. He is a child. And like, it just gets set in my ways. I don't know why I'm so set in my ways. But when I smell bullshit, I fucking go after it. And you know what's weird? I'm always fucking usually right about these weird little things. Isn't that fucked up? And maybe I'll never fucking get my confirmation on this or whatever, but you know what? Just wait 5 years. He'll be 10 or 23. We'll see what happens to him, you know? And you know what's fucked up? You want to know one of my main things? One of the main things that I think kind of rubbed me the wrong way when I first saw him? I thought dwarves still go through puberty. Okay? You ever seen any dwarf, like the one in Lord of the Rings or the one on Game of Thrones? They're short people with beards, okay? Another thing, they act like these two kids fighting are like the only time dwarves have ever fought. And they're like, that's why we're pumping it up. At first I feel like they were pumping it up because they're like, oh, it's a child matchup. Wouldn't this be funny if this was allowed? But then I thought that maybe so many people wanted it that they're like, oh, let's make it allowed. And then they started spiraling. No, okay, yeah, they're actually dwarves. But it's like, Google dwarf boxing. Because here's where it starts to unravel. It's like, okay, how come they haven't fought before? Oh, they can't release the footage of them fighting because it's unethical. Okay, why? Because there's dwarves boxing on TV all the time. You can Google dwarves boxing or people with dwarfism and fights, and it's left and right. It's like a whole fetish porn section. There's like literally fucking, I swear to God, so many dwarves boxing. And then they're like, okay, well, maybe he's too young because he's 18 or 19. And Rory McDonald was fighting in the UFC against Robbie Lawler when he was 16 years old. Okay? So 3 years ago, I think they're 19 now, so I'm going to quit saying 18. So 3 years ago when he was 16, he could have been fighting. Okay? Doesn't matter if he has dwarfism or not. He could fight other dwarves. Where is any of his professional fights? They say, oh, he's the new face of fighting. Oh, he's the new fucking dwarf killer fucking fighter guy. He's not a child. And then he has literally no fights on TV? Or no fights anywhere at all? On anything? Not even him doing actual sparring. Literally. You know what you see him doing? Fighting children. You see him fighting like 7-year-old children, and you're like, oh my God, he's fucking him up. Guess what? If he was a dwarf, you shouldn't have him fight a 7-year-old child because he would totally fuck him up. Because his mind is way past the 7-year-old child. You know what I mean? You shouldn't have a 19-year-old. Even if he's way bigger than him, you're like, oh, his knowledge and everything, you should fuck him up. But then again, at the same time, it's like, why is he wrestling a child? You know what I mean? If he's an adult, why would he wrestle a child like that? And then people are holding him all the time. That's another thing. It's okay, so he's cuddling with that guy. Okay, so he's on that guy's lap. I get it, maybe, to have him on your shoulders. But I don't think dwarves even like that. People with dwarfism, I don't think they like ever getting picked up. You know what I mean? Let alone, oh, now he's on this guy's lap. Oh, this guy's cuddling with him. Why are they cuddling? You know what I mean? Where's his girlfriend? If he's an 18 or 19-year-old, you know, and the drinking age in Russia is 18, let's see him drunk. Wouldn't it be funny to see Hasbulla drunk? Let's see him drunk. If he's not 5, see him drunk. Oh, he doesn't like to drink because he's into MMA. You know, let's see him drunk anyways, or whatever. Where's him smoking something? Where's him with his girlfriend? You know, girls are weird. Girls will totally be like, oh, I don't give a fuck that he has dwarfism. I think he's hot. Like, if he really is 18, somebody will be with him for his money. Where's his girlfriend? If he's not 5. So many things that I can unravel. This isn't even the tip of the iceberg. I haven't even started going through the videos yet. If you're wondering, like, oh, why are you so convinced that it's a child? It's not like I first looked at him and was like, oh, yeah, I'm convinced. Like, no. I first saw him, and I was like, you know, I was smelling bullshit. And so I had some questions, you know. I Googled the questions, and stuff started getting weird. Like, super weird, super quick. And so, of course, it sends me on this internet frickin' rabbit hole, and I spiral on. And then I became convinced. And sure, I don't have any definite proof. But it's just like, I don't know. So here, let's watch. We're going to go on a little bit of a journey through what I was thinking. And I could be totally wrong. You know, if I am, then I'll fuck off, you know. And, you know, don't be mad at me for having my opinion, okay? I'm just, you know, if you think I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. And, you know, you're probably not alone. So move on. Okay, so cuddling with a guy. That was a baby sound. Sorry. You know, totally was, though. Baby sound. So we can't talk? Oh, but he punched that guy in the face and that's fine. Okay, so yeah, he's a 19-year-old, he punched that guy. He's a 19-year-old with dwarfism, punched a man in the face and the guy thought it was cute. Just pointing that out. Look, I'm chopping onions with a child. Look, he can chop onions. It shouldn't be an accomplishment that you can chop onions. And you're like, oh, he's doing donuts on an ATV. It's because he's Russian, okay? You can do that at 5 years old if you're Russian, okay? That doesn't prove anything to me. And that goes back to the drinking thing. Even if I did see him drunk, I'd be like, okay, well, so they got him drunk. Like, okay, yeah, it's Russia. He could still be 5 and they could still get him drunk. But then again, at the same time, since he's the son of somebody in the UFC or something, I'm pretty sure, they don't want to get bopped with child abuse. So, oh, no, he's just too religious to drink. Or, insert excuse here, I'm sure, And I'm sure that's what it is for women. But yeah, so doing ATVs, or doing ATVs while on a donut, dude, doesn't convince me that you're 18. You can do that at 5. The other child. Yeah, so I started spiraling on this whole thing because when I saw Abdul Rozak or whatever, when I saw the other man with dwarfism, I was like, no, that's actually another child, though. I was like, okay, I get it if Hasbulla has some weird other thing with his dwarfism to where he looks like a literal child. Because there's people like that out there. There's like this documentary of this girl that doesn't even have dwarfism. She's got something wrong with her brain. And she literally looks like a child. But the difference is you could tell that she's 19. You can totally tell. The way that Hasbulla moves and his mannerisms and the everything about the way he carries himself and speaks and communicates and does everything, that was my first indicator. Not the way that he looks. I thought, okay, I can accept that this is a man with dwarfism. But then when I saw his mannerisms and the way that he spoke and communicated and walked and carried himself and threw punches, oh, he's a professional fighter. He just has dwarfism. And then he says, oh, I'm not disabled. There's nothing wrong with me other than the fact that I look like this. It's like, okay, then you should be able to throw up a punch. The only reason you can't throw a punch correctly is because you're 6 or 5 or whatever, you know what I mean? Because you should be able to have the form correct, if you're, old and a young body. That's what that other documentary thing shows me, is that girl that looks like a child, A of all, that's not dwarfism. She literally has the thing that this would have been better off replicating. She has like some other disease. It's not dwarfism. Like, that would have been more believable. But okay, so it doesn't matter. but yeah, so I thought, because I was like, okay, normally dwarves have they have beards and they go through puberty still, or they just have short legs, or they have short appendages, or they have their voice is high pitched, but it still changes with puberty. It's just high pitched in a different way. And I think they go through puberty at the same time. And I don't know, just the way that he carries himself and lives his life seems like somebody's taking care of him. He's not learning to be independent, which dwarves do. Even though they're limited, they learn to be independent. They learn how to move or have a designated chair in their house to get stuff, or you know what I mean? They have their disability figured out in a way. Remember, because they're not mentally disabled. Okay, they just have, and they're like any human being, and they see obstacles, and they have an obstacle, and they can just overcome them, and they get very used to their disability, I'm sure, pretty quickly and adapt, I would imagine. But so when I first saw Hasbulla, I was like, his mannerisms and everything sells him out that he's a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old, or it barely even matters. He's not an adult. His mannerisms and everything. And that's when I started looking into it. And because when I saw the other kid that he's with, I thought, no, these are 2 children. Because is Abdul just so happens to be the only other dwarf. They're just not only is Hasbulla this very special dwarf that just looks like a child, literally doesn't go through puberty, doesn't do all the other things that a dwarf does. He has a very specific disease that makes him literally a child. He's very specific genetic disease off-brand of a brain disorder with dwarfism, to where he just literally looks like a child. But that, to look just like a child, is very, 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 very rare. Oh, but there's another Russian one, Abdul, right here, for him to fight. How convenient. Oh, he just also looks like a child and has none of the dwarfism signs. Oh, so, you sure it's not just 2 children fighting? Either way, I think that maybe that's what it was advertised at first as, but then they were like, oh no, that part was a joke. The part that it's children, they're actually adults. We were just pretending, because they're actually adults. We were just pretending, how funny would it be if we told everybody that you were children and that you were fighting? Wouldn't that be so funny? You're like, is that funny, or is that kind of making fun of a disorder that they would have? And then when he asks Hasbulla if he's disabled, he says no. Or if he feels handicapped at all, he says no. When a person with dwarfism would, I'm pretty sure, answer that question, yes, but it's okay. I've learned to live my life and I go around it. Yes, I am disabled. Yes, I do have a handicap. If I go into boxing, I fight under a handicap with other people under that handicap. You don't say, no, I don't have a handicap. You don't just say, no, I'm like everybody else. I don't think that answer was thought out from the perspective of somebody that actually has the disease. But I'll shut the fuck up, right? Because I'm the rude one. I'm rude. I'm the rude one for talking all this shit, right? And if he is 19, then sure, yeah, I'm rude. But it's just like, if he is 19, then why am I so convinced that, like, they're pulling everyone's fucking leg? Like, everyone's being punked. Like, why am I thoroughly convinced of that? Like, there's literally pretty much nothing that you could show me that would convince me otherwise. Like, you show me his papers, I could be like, oh, well, those were faked. You could show me him, like, taking a shot of, I could be like, okay, well, that doesn't have to be alcohol. Or even if it is, like, sure, you gave him a shot because you're Russian and life's crazy. I don't know. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. Let me see him, like, make out with a chick. Right? That's something that an 18-year-old's allowed to do on camera. And that girl wouldn't be a pedophile. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's see that. That would convince me probably, right? But I'm sure they have an excuse, though. Oh, he's religious. He doesn't, he doesn't believe in those things. Because remember, he's, like, Muslim or whatever. So yeah, that other guy is also a child, and they're just pumping that he's also, and it's like, oh, he's a rap superstar. He has a whole life. Okay, let's see both of these people's baby pictures. You know what? Actually, let's just see pictures of both of these people 10 years ago when they were 9. You know, I'm sure everybody had a phone back in 2000, whatever the fuck that would have been, right? Because yeah, that's another thing. It's like, let me see his baby picture. And that's another thing is when I start Googling, it's like, oh, his dwarfism isn't confirmed. Oh, his age hasn't been confirmed. Oh, they want to have him fight in the octagon, but there's some discrepancy. And, oh, they think it's immoral. Why? Because dwarfs box. Remember, we already been over that part. Why is it immoral? Oh, because of his disorder. No, you're lying about that. Because dwarfs box, right? We've already been over that. They probably said it was immoral because you were like, okay, he actually is a child, but we're pretending that he's an adult for the whole TikTok thing, and if you could just go with us. And they're just like, nope, it's immoral. You just can't do that. And then maybe they did have him actually fight, because, yeah, I Googled it, and it was like, oh, yeah, they did fight, and Hasbulla knocked him out. It's like, let's see that video. They're like, no, that video is unethical. You're like, you sure it's unethical or whatever? Because I've seen people get their balls sawed off, so let's see the video. I've seen worse. They're like, no, we can't show the video to anybody. You sure that's not because the video doesn't exist? Oh, no, yeah, they did fight. We filmed it. It does exist. Hasbulla knocked him out. Let's see it. It should be leaked somewhere on the internet, right? I've seen pit bulls eat people's fucking packages. You know what I mean? I've seen people get their heads sawn off, burn alive. I've seen people getting freaking sticks shot up people's asses. I've seen it all, baby. Come on, let's see it. This shit won't faze me. I don't care if it's unethical. Let's see it. Are you sure it just doesn't exist? And even if they do have a video of them fighting, I bet you it's very anticlimactic, and it proves that they're children, and they're like, oh, God. And yeah, Hasbulla can wrestle because it shows them putting 7-year-olds in chokeholds. And so it's like, hey, if he's 19 years old, then it's like, oh, congratulations, you defeated this fucking 7-year-old. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, oh, if you're 5 still in the same way, congratulations for beating the 7-year-old. But that's almost more of an accomplishment, you know what I mean? It's like you should tell everybody. It's like, oh, Hasbulla can wrestle and beat these 7-year-olds, even though he's 5. You know what I mean? It's just ridiculous. And he runs around like not talking and just like making sounds and like doing irresponsible shit like a child would. And people are always stopping him from doing things. If you're an adult, you don't, and especially if you're a rich adult, you don't have people stop you from doing things and pick you up and walk away with you like you're a fucking child, right? Wouldn't you be pissed? Especially if you're a rich fucking 19-year-old. You don't have people pick you up because you're in punishment time. Like, shouldn't that be a fucking red flag to you guys? Whatever, dude. I feel like people are in on the joke, but it's some new sense of humor that I don't get. I don't know. So yeah, they're the only 2 dwarves in the world that don't have dwarfism symptoms. They just look like actual children. Which does happen, but that's not dwarfism, and it's super rare. But yeah, these 2 exist at the same time in the same place, to the same age, and they're going to fight. Except for they won't. Because they're children. But yeah, so he trains with Khabib. Okay, so that's it. That's it. That should be the end. Okay, cool. This child trains with Khabib. That's awesome. Cool. Because, yeah, when these fighters have kids, they want their kids to be fighters, too. So they start them at a young age. You know what I mean? But you don't, like, patronize the motherfucker. If he is a dwarf, okay, you don't patronize the motherfucker. Okay? Like, oh. Like, you actually train him, right? Hey. Who's that guy? It's like, oh, he's underwater. It's like, yeah, because, 5-year-olds have a little bit of a grasp on life. He literally doesn't have teeth. Okay, so don't you lose your teeth at around 4 or 5? But, because, yeah, he literally has no teeth right here. Anybody notice? No, okay, just me.
Hey.
And they say, oh, he has a baby face. And you know what? Sure, maybe he shouldn't still look like a baby at 5 years old. Maybe he'll always have that baby face. Yeah. Maybe, oh, Hasbulla has a baby face. But he literally doesn't have teeth right there, though. That's one of the reasons he has a baby face. It's because he doesn't have teeth right there. And at the same time, sure, maybe he looks young for his age, but he still is 5. So as long as we get that out of the way.
Who's that guy right there? Yeah, he is, yeah. Give me 5, rookie, yeah. Why is he number 1?
High fives him. Like, that's the thing that regular adults do, right?
Why is he number 1 bullshit? Why?
See, he never talks unless people are asking him questions. Or they're filming, like, and begin. And then it's like, oh, yeah, he's just talking. You know what I mean? And it's so obvious. But it's like, yeah, they have to ask him questions to get responses from. Like in this video, they're like, hey, isn't blah, 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 blah? And he's like, blah, blah. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, come on, doesn't he blah, 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 blah? And he's like, yeah. Like, is that not obvious to anybody? I don't give a shit.
Oh, no. Hasbulla.
He's not very respectful at all or whatever, even if he is 18. It's like, oh, because he's rich. It's like, shut up, dude. It's just like, no, but he's just 5, though. You know?
You know why he's number 1 bullshit? Because you're number 1 gangster, not him. You.
And so why would they say that? So let's say that he is 19. And he's just hanging out with the boys, and we're all just friends here. Why is he the number 1 gangster? What has he done? Oh, because he has all this money? How did he get all that money again? From TikTok? Oh, but he was on TikTok originally because he was already with famous people, though. So isn't that a little fishy? I'm pretty sure he just knows famous people. And he went viral because the person that posted that video is already famous and has a lot of followers, and it kind of had kickstart. You know, isn't that kind of obvious? And it's just like, yeah, why is he the number 1 gangster? Oh, because he's a dwarf and he fights. But he doesn't, though, because there's so many other dwarves that fight, okay, that have, like, proof and stuff. Like, where's his proof of any of his fights, though? Or if it's anything? He's the number 1 gangster. You know why I think they're calling him the number 1 gangster? Because that's how you talk to children. Especially when children are, you know, rich and have rich parents. And you know, if his cousin is Khabib or something, then yeah. Everybody is going to be like, yep, he's 19. He's with Khabib. He's however the fuck old he wants to be. I don't give a shit. Yeah, let him in the bar. I don't give a fuck. Yeah, if Khabib says he's 19, then whatever. I'd probably do the same thing. I'd be like, bro, I don't give a fuck either way. I'll say he's 19, cool. Just don't strangle me to death. Sure. But yeah, it's just like that, you know, that's how you talk to, like, they say, oh, he's making the best of his circumstances. But is he, though? If he's a dwarf, he could be actually fighting. That'd be making the best of his circumstances. He could be actually, whatever. Such a child. Like, what was that? Those were child sounds. Oh, he's got no seatbelt and he's sitting in the middle thing? Oh, they'd never endanger a child like that. Look, he's sitting in the middle with no seatbelt. They would never endanger a child like that. The only reason that this video exists is because he is an independent adult. And this is proof that he's an independent adult. That's why this video exists, is because this is the proof right here. This is part of the proof and the evidence that who would do this to a child? Russians wouldn't just do something reckless like that for some fame or to back a lie. No, they wouldn't. Counting money and chewing gum. Kids could never do that. They couldn't. You know what I mean? And plus, what does it matter? I'm pretty sure that's what the whole video was about anyway. Like, oh, look at this baby counting money, chewing gum. Ha ha ha.
Jimmy, chew.
Literally talks like a child. People with dwarfism do not talk like that. They can talk regularly. The smallest person in the world, this little Indian girl that's like not even a foot tall or whatever, she's like a little Indian in the cupboard person, talks normally, talks perfect English, has such a mannerism that you can tell it's a grown woman. This other grown woman that went through this adoption scandal thing, you can totally tell that it's a grown woman. She was just scrunched. When God made her, they just accidentally scrunched her. I don't know. But you could tell it's a scrunched woman. You know what I mean? And then the other legitimate, like, teenage girl that's stuck in a child's body, yeah, talks perfect English. More fluent than I do. You can tell she's a grown-ass adult. This, when it opens its mouth, is it not obvious? I don't care if he speaks Russian. You don't go that. You don't. You know the language barrier. You know what I mean? It doesn't prevent me from knowing that that's baby talk. It's like, what the fuck, dude? You know what I mean? It's like, oh no, that's when he was younger though. But I thought he was 18. So is that video like 12 years ago or whatever? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even know anymore. Screams like a child. The monkey didn't even do anything to him, just sort of pulled his sweater, and he screams like a child. Something that a kickboxer, professional fighter, would do, you know? Something that a grown 19-year-old man does. Don't even get hurt, so you scream out. And he's lifting weights like a professional right there. That's not a kid fucking around at the gym at all, playing toys. Oh, see? He just comes out of the darkness to get his own food. See? See, isn't that funny? Oh, because he's a regular adult. We're just dropping off his Uber. Sure you are, dude. And then right here. Here's something interesting. Oh, so he's gonna stab this 7-year-old boy. Okay, so he's gonna stab a 7-year-old boy. So this 19-year-old man thinks it's good to just pretend to stab this 7-year-old boy on camera. If he was an adult, remember, dwarves aren't mentally gone at all. He is an 18 or 19-year-old boy, and he's just pretending to stab this 7-year-old. This 7-year-old's like screaming for his life, saying, "No, Hasbulla, don't." And their parents are prying them apart and laughing and kind of let them go. You know what I mean? It's like, why, if you're in the spotlight and you're famous and you're this 19-year-old, why would you want somebody to film you stabbing a 7-year-old? Like, oh, I'm just being goofy and playing around. No, though. You know what I mean? No, though. You're not. You know, though? You're not? Oh, it's always goofy. Oh, look at how funny Hasbulla is. I'm going to stab him in the eye. Look at how funny and cute Hasbulla is. Isn't he adorable? Or is he a kid, you know, that they probably ramped up too much and sometimes now they have to pull him off because he's going to stab this kid with a screwdriver? Yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? Maybe he's just a kid that they've riled up so much and now he goes after people. You know, so maybe that's why it's bad or something, but I don't know. Because, yeah, and then the parents have to pull him apart and they're laughing and they're having a goofy time. They're like, oh, look at my son. And the reason he's going to do it, you didn't eat your oatmeal. And that's disrespectful. Which, who knows if that's what he's saying or not. You must pay. So he's going to stab this guy with a screwdriver because he didn't eat his oatmeal. Because he's Hasbulla the gangster. And then it's like, okay, fire that gun then. And then it's like obviously a BB gun. Or like a toy. Okay, so they got him like a really realistic looking toy gun. Or would he just shoot a real gun if he was a dwarf? I'm pretty sure you could Google dwarves shooting guns and you know, if he's so cool, he's so gangster, and he's got such balls for such a little man, he'd fire a real gun. Why don't you give him a real gun? You know what I mean? Why'd you hand him a BB gun? And then he's going to like slash these guys' tires, and these guys have to keep pulling them back. Is that something that an adult does? Do people have to pull adults away from slashing tires? It's like, oh, you gave this child a knife, and now he's going to slash your tires, and everybody has to stop him. Because, oh, you have this rambunctious child now. Am I the only one? Are you fucking kidding me? Doesn't know how to work a butane thing. Screams and runs. Hangs out with children all the time. Always with other kids. Always with other kids. Always with other kids. Always. All the time. Always with other kids. Hanging out with always kids. Why is he always with other kids? Oh, because he's small. He just hangs out with other kids. What? No. So dumb. Like literally a child. Like they're literally giggling and holding him. They're trying to pry him off, giggling. Literally a child sound. Literally have to stop him from running outside. Oh, why would you have to stop him from running outside? Oh, why are you telling him to drop this thing? Oh, why do you have to pry stuff out of his hands? Oh, you took it away from him and put it on the counter, but he went to go grab it again, so you have to go run and stop him and pry him away from it. These are all adult things. Oh, he just spray painted this guy's thing. And the guy's super obviously pissed about it. Oh, he just sprayed the tire. And the guy's super pissed about it. Oh, and he looks at the camera and says, I swear to God I'd kill him if he was actually 18 or 19. That's the look he gave the camera, is I would strangle this person, but he's an actual child, so I can't. That was the literal, that's what his face said. Literally. Why would an 18-year-old just vandalize his stuff like that? Oh, because he could pay for it. He's Hasbulla. Okay, yeah, though, really, though? So he's just disrespectful as fuck and always rude and always... And oh, that's what, he's so gangster and everybody just loves him so much. Because he always has to get stopped from doing things. Because he's such a respectful, just cool, rational adult. Oh, you have to make him drop spray paint because he's such a rational adult.
Something. So this is the thing.
He is a rational adult, and he's not mentally clogged up at all. But we always have to stop him and pry things out of his hands and tell him not to do things like he's a child. Not only does he look like a child, but he totally acts like one. But he's 19. Remember that.
Yeah, Joey, you recently you
can't even really walk straight. Can't throw a kick without falling over. Can't speak English, or whatever language he speaks. Can't speak. Not. But says that, oh, I'm just a dwarf and I look like this, but I'm not mentally slowed down at all. You should have said that you are a little bit if you act like this, you know what I mean? You should have said, oh, no, yeah, I am mentally slow, and that's why I act like this. But I'm 19, and then we would have believed you maybe a little bit more or something. I don't know. Everybody's buying it already. So I feel like it's just because it's Khabib and nobody wants to question Khabib. But it's also because it's like, I don't know, Russians are involved and everybody's just... But yeah, I don't know. It's fucking stupid, though.
You found a baby online on TikTok, a famous baby that like knows how to kick really hard.
Well, yeah, so you're making it not sound as crazy as it is.
Joshua the Super Baby. Joshua is 1 year old.
Like, this baby's doing this amazing stuff. He's got tremendous power. So I go to his page, and I find out that his dad runs the page.
Like I said, and his dad runs his page. Like, he's surprised that the 1-year-old doesn't run his own page. So let's take notes. This baby is probably 1 or 2 years old, okay? And he can kick... well, okay? He can kick the lid off shit. So that proves to me that at 5 or 6 years old, mini Khabib should be able to wrestle and defeat people. Cool. Awesome. That's what it is. Yeah. So you can wrestle and know how to fight by 5 or 6. Okay? If you can learn how to kick by 1. Even though Josh is a miracle baby or whatever. But then they want them to fight. That's what's funny. So if you are 19... why would you ever fight a 1-year-old? Oh, because they're the same size. Okay, yeah, but are you guys fucking dumb? Is everybody dumb? Because this thing's a joke, right?
Joshua the
He's
Super
trying to
Baby.
monetize this sensation, this super baby.
He is a sensation. It's a fucking unbelievable
No,
baby.
it's for marketing. No, so I called the dad.
I can't believe how good he is, how powerful his kicks are, and his form is incredible. I've never seen anything like him at that age.
And thank you so much, and it's amazing. It's kind of like it's incredible. Being masters, like a martial art master, they call me all the time. They said, how the heck?
Okay, so Russians are well known for being amazing wrestlers and amazing fighters, right? You don't have a 19-year-old fight a 1-year-old. Even if he's a dwarf. You guys are so dumb. He's obviously a child. Even if he is 5, you don't fight a 1-year-old. You don't. Even if you're 5 and you're the same size. You don't fight him. You don't. You still don't. Even though he's 5, it's like, what the fuck are you guys doing? And he said it so seriously, like it wasn't a joke. It's like, what?
He's like 2 feet tall, and he's not that strong. Like, I think Joshua would probably destroy him.
He like obviously can't even throw a regular punch or kick. It's like, oh, because he's dwarf and his limbs are affected. It's like, but you can tell that he could be able to if he tried to do a regular thing. Because yeah, that baby can do a better formed kick than he can. It's like, you fucking kidding me? Yeah, that baby has like literally 1,000 times more form than the other one. And he is 1. So it's like, what the fuck, you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, I wonder, like, how he just lives a normal day if he's a dwarf. There's such a difference between whether you're a dwarf and whether you're a child, like. And then so, like, most of the videos that you see online are what Hasbulla does in a normal day. And it's all like, every video is just trying to convince you that he just lives a normal adult life. And one of these videos is called what, like, Hasbulla's morning routine or how he wakes up. And it's just such bullshit. It's so funny. It's just like, it's all made to just look like he's an independent person that's an adult that wakes up on his own. He's not a kid that has to have parents get him ready. Why would you think that? The camera angles and everything, it's like, hey, Val, there's obviously somebody filming it, okay? Not to say that that's like whatever, but it's just like, but it's just so funny because the angles and everything are just so deceiving. He's like, I get out of bed and I'm just wearing a robe, okay? And look at how clean his room is. He's like, no, I'm not a normal teenager, okay? Everything's spick and span. Remember, because I'm Russian and I'm a fighter and I'm an adult. Everything's clean as fuck. Like, yeah, this is totally his real room, I bet you anything, right? Yeah. Okay, this is his room. No video games. No nothing. No anything that teenagers like. He's an adult already, okay? He's a 40-year-old man stuck in a 19-year-old's 5-year-old body, okay? Look at how spick and span everything is. He doesn't eat near his bed. He doesn't gorge on anything even though he's rich. He stays in his white sheets, doesn't spill anything ever. And then he works out. He does his workout routine. He does like 3 squats. You know, he doesn't have any form at all. You know, he does some push-ups. What kind of child can do a push-up, you know? It doesn't matter if his form's right. Who can do that? It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter if his form's right with his punches either, or if with his kicks, you know? This is what he does every morning. And look at that kick. That was like some martial arts fucking professional shit. And then he just goes down the stairs like a normal guy. I'm pretty sure this is even his house because he's rich, because he does all these things to make all this money. So he's just stacked. Yeah, no anything anywhere. Just the perfect house. Just totally spick and span, absolutely perfect. Doesn't even, you know, and even though he lives with this dwarfism every day, he doesn't have his own stool or has anything with wheels or anything. He just grabs the nearest chair next to him, and then he just starts doing adult stuff. You know, he brushes his 2 teeth that he has for whatever reason. You know, he's just Russian, don't question it, it's part of being a dwarf. He does just everything he's doing right here just proves that he's just so grown up and mature. And then, you know, doesn't need ketchup or anything or anything in his fridge, you know, because this house is obviously his. Okay. And, you know, all this is obviously just, you know, this is his daily shit. And just the way he grabs everything and maneuvers everything, you can tell he's done this 1,000 times. And then I like how the only thing that proves to us that he's mentally past a 5-year-old, they cut out. Every single shot of Hasbulla is showing his entire body. He's like, oh, look at me. Look at how small I am as I do my shit. They're all full body shots. Except for when he cracks an egg. The one thing that takes a little bit of skill or talent, or maybe you have to be a little bit older than 5 to crack an egg. The one thing that shows some mental fucking cognitive abilities. They zoom into only his hands. Every single other shot is of his whole body except for when he does the one thing. Because this breakfast is so easy to make. This breakfast is the easiest thing to make. And it's not like he would ever make anything where you have to cut any vegetables or do anything, even though he's rich. You know. Or it's not like he'd get online or order Uber or anything. But no, yeah, he would just make this meal. This is so easy and so simple. But the hard part, the part that would be impressive if a 5-year-old could do, no, we won't show his entire body of him doing that. We'll zoom in on his hands. Stunt double time. It's like, why didn't you show his entire body for him cracking the egg? You know what I mean? The one... oh my god. Look at him shake that... look at him shake the salt though. That's obviously... it takes some maturity. The way he holds the fork and everything. He doesn't need anything. You know, he doesn't... That's an adult male. See, because they normally you have to stop adult males from entering ponds all the time, also. It's just another thing you have to do. And people just patronize him all the time. Let's say he is a dwarf. He's a dwarf, 19-year-old man. Everybody that he wrestles is always like, oh, you're so strong. Oh, you're so strong. Oh, you got me. I tap. They're like, oh, he hit me. Oh. And they're like laughing and they think it's cute. Like, oh, I'm sure that if he's a dwarf, that doesn't piss him off. Like, they think that what he does is cute and adorable. It's like, how pissed would you be if you're, like, I mean, I don't know. And yeah, so he's a child also. And they were like, oh, Abdul's a rapper / superstar. And I was like, okay, prove that to me. And so I went around Googling. And he's got, like, a music video or two which is like obviously made by somebody else or something ridiculous, and it's just so obviously just a fucking ridiculous just TikTok disaster. And it's just obviously this thing that these parents did with this kid, like, oh my god, look at this kid being a superstar, oh my god, wouldn't that be hilarious, ha, la, la. And then there's a performance of him like, oh my god, look, he's even sold out stadiums, but it's like obviously like Russia's Got Talent, where it's like, oh, look at this child singing, and they like filmed it. And they're like, oh, look at it all. And that like, that's all the proof that he's like this. Oh, he's not a child. He's an 18-year-old rap superstar. Okay, let me see his girlfriend. You know what I mean? It's like, I fucking was on these motherfuckers since the very first video, and then it just got so much worse for him.
Not many people get a second after everything said. You showed a fantastic.
See, that guy's like obviously one of their parents or something. Because this was the viral video that came out. And it's obviously because this guy, who's already like in the UFC and has all these followers, or already a TikTok star, or whoever the fuck he even is, he put it on there. And then it started spiraling. It's like, oh, Hasbulla became so famous. It's because, yeah, people who Google cute baby, or people that look up UFC, or people that look up baby fighter, or people that look up dwarfism, or small fighter, or like kid fighting, or like, there's so many different keywords, like rich baby, rich, you know, there's like so many keywords. That's one of the reasons I feel like he got so popular. It's like, sure, I can understand his level of fame to a certain extent, but then Joe Rogan's like, oh, but he's everywhere. It's because, yeah, you type in cute kid stuff, and Hasbulla will pop up. So, A of all, that's not a red flag. B of all, I'm sure he's super stoked about that if he is 18. Like, oh yeah, I have all these kids channels. Or everybody's always calling me adorable or cute, or like, oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, yeah, I'm sure he's not, you know, what? And it's like, have you ever heard him say a sentence? It's like, yeah, but he talks Russian. It's like, yeah, but have you ever just heard him say a paragraph? Like, even in Russian. Like, it's just too cool to say actual, like, oh, that's part of why he's so gangster, is he's just so soft-spoken. He always just has to say, da, or da. Like, he, so, you know, just man of such few words, and and everybody just boasts him up so much, like, oh, he's the toughest guy. What do you mean by that? That's a joke, though, right? And it's not like I'm mad, I'm just confused. You know what I mean? It is a joke, right? Because they're like, oh, he wants to fight Conor McGregor. So that's a joke, right? Because of weight classes? Because even if he is a dwarf, he's like, should fight other dwarfs? Why doesn't he fight any other dwarfs? How come every time he calls somebody out to a fight, it's another child? Or it's this dwarf that just looks like a child? Fight an actual dwarf. Why don't you just fight any actual dwarf? Any dwarf. Even a dwarf that's just 19 and not 40. You know what I mean? Have it just another dwarf. Where are pictures of him when he's fucking 2 years old? They're like, oh, he just came in the spotlight in the last year. Because he just got out of diapers and learned to talk in the past year? You're telling me that when he was 16, 3 years ago, he didn't have a Facebook or MySpace? Or when he was 13? You know, everybody gets fucking starting some shit when they're like 15. So you're telling me 4 years ago? Where's his pictures of me from 4 years ago? If he was alive and existed. Come on. Show me his baby pictures from whenever those were. And like with the date on them. And that's the thing, is you Google it, and it's like nobody's confirmed his birthday. Nobody's confirmed that he has dwarfism. Nobody's confirmed his disease or what he actually has. Nobody's confirmed his age. Oh, Joe Rogan wants him to, or Dana White wants him to fight. Oh, but they can't get like, yeah, because they don't want to tell you that he's 5. Because they don't want to say that they've been lying this whole time. But one of the days, the joke's going to be over because he's going to grow into an actual person. Or maybe he does have dwarfism, but yeah, he's still fucking a kid. Maybe he's like 15 or something, but I don't fucking know. But he seems like he's like maybe 7 at most, you know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, but it's embarrassing and it's weird. It pisses me off. See, just this guy just holding him. People just hold him. People just have him on the shoulders. People just cuddle with him.
Once Hasbulla's stocks started to rise, we eventually learned more about
It's just
him.
like you can tell by the way that a person carries themselves, and the way that they talk, and the way that they look at people, and the way that they act in the world, and the way that they act towards people. You can just tell if they're 5 years old or 18 years old.
Ever since he turned 18, he has been engaging with the masses on social media to
Ever
great
since he
success.
turned 18. I had a social media, a MySpace when I was 12. You know, and I was like smoking weed and trying like cigarettes and alcohol and doing all this crazy shit by 13. I was a full-blown gremlin by 14. I was in juvenile prison by 15. I was like a full-blown adult. I was a full-blown, in my mind, you know, I was a full-blown adult by 15. So, he's had 4 years. Like, he should have at least been on Facebook or something, or MySpace 4 years ago. But no, he doesn't even have any pictures from 4 years ago. And that's not because he didn't exist. It's just because he just now started believing in the world, you know?
The great success. Number 9. His condition. Nothing has been conclusively confirmed about Hasbulla's
Boom.
condition. The condition that has left him looking like a child of 4 or 5 years old, despite him being a grown man.
And one of the funniest things ever is I Googled. I didn't even ask a question. I just Googled the statement, Hasbulla is not 19. I literally didn't even ask a question. I just put the statement with an exclamation point and everything. And you know what it said? This was fucked up. One of those boxes came up, like when Google just gives you an immediate answer, like when a box comes up and it just gives a description. One of those came up. I remember this verbatim because I thought this is the most believable answer in the world. I typed in Hasbulla is not 19 exclamation point, and I hit enter, and the box came up and it said, in reality though, he is a 19-year-old boy with dwarfism. He himself has claimed to be 19, and there is nothing to prove otherwise. That's literally what it said. And then, later on that night, I was like, okay, I need to actually go back and take a picture of that because I'm going to make this video. So I need to go back and I need to take a picture of that because that's the most believable shit in the world. That, like, pretty much seals it all up for me right there. It's like, because that's just like, first of all, the fact that it started off with, in reality, though, it's like, okay. Because were we talking about another reality and then you had to bring us back to this one? Or like, or is that just, like, but it just was the most sus answer in the world. And so when I went back to frickin', like, get a picture of it, I swear to fucking God, it was like literally the same fucking day. I went back and I typed in the same shit, and that box that said that was gone. I swear to fucking God. And you know what? Nobody's even gonna believe me. And that's so great. I love that so much. And I think it's perfect. And it's cool. It's like, oh, Kyle's just telling the story so that blah, blah, blah. But no, I don't give a fuck. But it really happened to me. That's straight up. I don't know if they just put that there the one time. I don't even know how the internet works anymore. But I straight up, when I went back to it, now it just says like there's a bunch of websites. It doesn't even have a box that has a quick answer anymore. And I thought maybe I spelled it wrong, maybe I did this or that. And then like I tried not to do the suggested one, like it popped up because I thought that was weird in the first place. So like I just typed it out again and I searched it, and then I like closed out of like Google Chrome and I reopened a whole new window and just tried it over again, and like no, the box wouldn't come up anymore. And I was like, of course it's not going to give me my stupid ass weird dumb answer like it did the first time. And I was like, I'm just going to move past it. But it did still say on there, it says he himself has claimed to be 18 and there's no proof otherwise. And so it's just like, okay. But that's why he's not allowed to fight, though. You know what I mean? They're just not saying that. But it's just, I don't know. The whole thing's ridiculous. But yeah, so nobody's even going to fucking believe me. So now I feel like I'm being gaslit by Russia. Fucking Russia. We probably all are. You know? But no, yeah, I couldn't fucking believe that shit. That it straight up just like, it just like pulled me to the side and was like, in all reality, though, he is 18. You're going to want to start telling people that, or we're going to kill you. And I was just like, what? And then I was like, no, that's kind of sus. I should probably take a picture of that and prove that that happened to me. And then it was just like, deleted all the traces. And I was like, oh, of course. Because they're Russian hackers or whatever. Isn't that like a thing that you hear about? I mean, I don't fucking know. I gave up on trying to figure it all out. I don't know, but it's like sometimes I have teeth in, sometimes I don't. I freaking broke my retainer today. I'm so pissed off, it's unbelievable. But whatever, dude. Oh, yeah, I'll have one in no time, hopefully. Anyways, this shit's fucking ridiculous, though. But yeah, I'm sorry, I guess. I mean, I don't know. Be kind to each other. I mean, don't be too mean, I guess, if you're going to rip me to smithereens. But like I said, I don't care either way. I'm not too emotionally invested. I'm just confused, okay? Be safe out there. Have a good one. Fucking deuces. See, yeah, he's an inspiration. He's adorable. He's a good fighter. He's a world champion. He's all these things. But yeah, so having the voice of a child isn't a dwarfism thing. They have higher pitched voices, but not all the time, and sometimes they, like, you know, they go through puberty and their voices change. They don't stay, and you know, and they can talk. They can say words, okay? Having the voice of a child doesn't mean talking like a baby. He would just have a higher pitched voice. He would be able to still talk and punctuate words and be like blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? You know, and he could say paragraphs, or he could have opinions about things, and he could actually talk. Whereas him saying anything, you know. I think it's so weird that they can just blow past the fact that he's like obviously one of their kids. It's like, that's obviously how this whole thing started. It's obviously how he knows all these people. It's obviously where all the money comes from. It's obviously where he came from. Oh no, he's just this guy. He's just a Russian. He's just so popular, and he trains so well, and he's just such a good fighter that he's just famous now. He just knows famous people. He just trains with Khabib. He just met Khabib at a bar one day when they were hanging out. He just, you know, what? Like, yeah, it's so funny. Like, I had that moment the other day where it like clicked in my head. I was like, wait a minute. So they are just like straight up just pretending that he's just some guy that came out of nowhere? So Hasbulla, let's just say, because you look up who his parents are, and it's just like, oh, that's irrelevant. Nobody knows. I don't know. Ask him that. And you're just like, sure, yeah, I'm sure that's the answer. you're just like, it's obviously one of the UFC people, right? That's literally, because no, they're pretending that, oh, he's just this some guy that lives in Russia. And he went on TikTok one day and he became a celebrity, and now he like hangs out with Khabib and he trains with Khabib and he does all this stuff. But it's like, no, he obviously became a celebrity because he knows those people. That's obvious. I'm not going to explain why and how again, but you know what I mean. And so it's like, they're really just going to blow past and pretend that he's not just like related to one of these people. Like, oh, these people are all just his friends. You're right. That's why he's sitting on their lap. That's why they're holding him. That's why his friends that he hangs out with and trains with, they're the ones that are, you know, prying knives out of his hands when he's chasing children around with knives.